Hello and welcome to Evil Ginger Miniatures again. I'm going to do a bit of a little chat and sort of a re-unboxing of some models that I got from Badsquido on Thursday. A proper unboxing is currently on YouTube if you want to see me actually opening the box and going through all of that for the first time. They're still in their box, though, as you can see, if I can grab it, this is my plan of putting it somewhere I could get at it was failure. Right, this is it. It's came from Badsquido. Don't worry, I'm not doxing myself. It's my business address. It's a public piece of information in the UK. You have to. This is what came in it. A selection of figures. Not all of them are in here. I took out a freebie that I've got because it currently requires being in soak because it's resin and it needs to be degreased potentially. Again, I will have a fight with these and the self-opening blister system. Every company in the UK uses the same blisters, and they all have some, and the blisters have bad habits, including opening themselves randomly. This is the first one, Julie D'Aubigny. But I'll talk about what the project is and a bit of the history before I actually start flashing prettily painted figures in front of you, or even unpainted figures. Basically, this is very much like or similar to the Heroes in Miniature project, except all of the people, all the figures in it are female. They're all historical figures like the figures in miniature, and they are voted for by the Badsquido community. You join that by signing up on Facebook to Baggy's Cave. Again, when I get the description set up after the stream, because this is a bit of an impromptu stream like all of my impromptu streams, and it occurred to me to do it about 10 minutes ago, which is why I was so organised. Basically, there is a vote every month, and the result of the vote is a figure that's produced. If you want to take part in the production, the figures cost £5. Originally, it was paid for through Ko-fi, and you could just set up a £5 a month payment forever, but it took a long time to start. In fact, the first wave didn't come out till late last year, and it's been going since 2020, but various things happened, for which I suggest you watch back versions of Annie's Sunday Morning Coffee, where it is all explained in detail, or you have a look at their web. You have a look at the I'll link the channel below as well. I will also link the page where it talks about them and explains the miniatures. But basically, the first two waves are now out. First one was late last year. Second one was about this week, effectively. And I'd ordered one and pre-ordered the other and said I'd wait for them all to turn up. So there are 10 figures so far. I believe 13 are, it's up to 13 at the moment. And each of them costs £5 UK, and can be bought off the Badsquido website. Looks like Annie isn't doing the Ko-fi thing anymore, which is a bit irritating because I have to be there and then remember to go to the website and buy each individual figure as they come out. But as I say, they are members of Baggy's Cave chose these from a list. We also had the opportunity to recommend people, suggest people, and there were several rounds of voting which got them down to one or maybe two figures from each round of voting. The one I've just waved at you is Julie D'Aubigny, and that is someone else's artwork, but that figure is the reason that the second wave was delayed, as originally the head was looking down the sword arm. Unfortunately, that means that there was a mould line potentially that went up the sword arm and across the fiddle of the face, and obviously that's a particularly annoying place to clean a mould line off Not that Annie's figures have mould lines very often, but the potentiality of it was a bad thing. So it was delayed because the figure had to be decapitated, have the head turned a little bit, and then resculpted and fitted. Now, having done the occasional head swap on metal figures, and really not wanting to do it again, it's one of those jobs like rebasing that you really, really, really don't want to do, and you often do quite a lot of damage to a model doing it, and especially if it's a master cast of it, you want it fixed properly and perfectly, and it requires an expert level resculpt. But basically, it's Judy Daubeny, who is a notorious late 16th, early 17th century character, I believe. All the details of who she is and what she is are on the Badsquido Community Miniatures blog, and that's what she looks like painted up, and this is what she looks like in character. Now, they're all in metal. They're all one-piece casts, and by Annie's casters, who are absolute utter geniuses and very good at this, to the point that I'm going to be using them myself when I get my range coming. And that's her. That's the first one. Next one is Eleanor of Aquitaine, famous English queen, and quite a character with lots of legend about her, but this is based as closely as we can, again, not my paintwork, but the display paintwork, and I'll show you the figure that goes with this. Again, it's a one-piece casting. It was designed by Annie, who rather obsessively does research, and this is Eleanor largely as she would have probably wanted herself to be presented, as a scholar and a noble. And again, it's a one-piece casting, and it's not a flat one-piece casting particularly, though it is, like most one-piece castings, in one plane rather than multiple ones, which is the only justification for having multiple metal castings. The other justification is that you're some sort of sadist and likes inflicting multi-part metal castings on the poor, unsuspecting wargaming population. Multi-part metal castings are not generally fun. Neither is pinning stuff that's too thin to drill. And now we have a completely different period, Ada Lovelace. Very much the mother of modern computing, as she developed the concept of programming computers, which at that point were the planned, but not built at the time, Babbage analytical engine, which was a mechanical computer and was programmed with the use of punch cards, the same based on the ones that used at the time on looms. Again, the Babbage engine was never finished, but it did work when built, and her system for programming it also works. And it's very much the same basic principles that are still used in digital computer programming. Again, this is an exquisite miniature, and I'm going to have to do a really nice paint job on it, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And here is Ada. I should be leaving these out rather than putting them back in the packaging, because that's the next stage of operations, is me actually putting them on bases. So we'll fish the bags out. Now, they're not all in blisters. This is Annie's normal mail order stuff, and this is Stagecoach Mary Fields, who was a very early, in fact, one of the first black women to work for the US Postal Service, and who had quite a character. She will be featuring in my Aces and Eights game, and she will also probably be featuring in many games of the newly released Dead Man's Hand Redux, the game that I did a proper unboxing of on here, I believe, last week. And there she is, with the shotgun she was famous for being quite happy to use on deserving customers. Not to mention wild animals and stuff like that. Now we have Black Agnes. Now, I don't know the history of Black Agnes, but she's a medieval Scottish noblewoman who was was involved in the defence of a particular castle. I think it might have been Dunfermline, but please correct. I'll stand corrected on that one. But again, nice, distinctive female civilian figure in a beautiful one-piece cast. Just stop those from escaping off my painting desk. There she is, from the back and from the front. Again, sort of thing that would work quite nicely in Baron's War type games. And as I say, she's lovely, because Annie only ever does lovely figures. Apart from Turkey Man. Turkey Man isn't lovely. Turkey Man is an interesting figure and quite disturbingly stuff. And this is Qin Shi, who was a notorious 19th century Chinese pirate. And unlike a lot of pirates, she didn't come to a bad end. She was sufficiently powerful that she pretty much had to be paid to retire, having had a fleet that made the then Chinese imperial fleet look decidedly small and undersized. But again, lovely model, beautiful sculpt, all one piece, with a lot of thought gone into how she should look for the period. And that's the figure. Again, there's all sorts of things you could use this figure for, and it's absolutely lovely. Also, for a figure that's a one-piece casting, not quite dynamic, and not sort of the one piece that we're all used to. Now we have Audrey Hepburn. Now I voted for Audrey, but I got a little bit annoyed that she wasn't the teenage. By the way, I'm easily annoyed. It may come across to you. You may not have noticed. This is the Breakfast at Tiffany's version, but I wanted the teenage Dutch resistance fighter to go with my continental Dutch troops. But again, lovely one-piece sculpt. This one is in one plane, but that's by design, because it's effectively the picture from Breakfast at Tiffany's. And very classic. Again, I'll be basing that up in a moment. Then we have Zenobia, notorious enemy of Rome, former ally of Rome, well, whose husband had been an ally of Rome and then a rival of Rome, and perfect for commanding Palmyran armies, or for being at the back of a Palmyran army in the field. Not a fighter, but definitely a leader. And this is the model, good and close up. A lovely picture, lovely concept for a Syriac queen, and quite a powerful one, even though the Romans did ultimately defeat her. That one goes last. Right, I think that's all of them, apart from this one. Now, this one isn't a terribly historical model, as it says on the thing. It's based on the first queen of the last queen of Mongolia. A photograph of the last queen of Mongolia. That's important that it's a photograph of the last queen of Mongolia, because it's not the last queen of Mongolia. It's someone dressed in court costume from that period, but it's not the last queen of Mongolia. It's a person, a woman dressed as such. And this costume was used as a basis for a queen in a certain film. that might have taken place in a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago. And this is the model. As I say, would be a nice model to go with a Mongol army, or say back of Beyond, where there were still Mongol troops operating. But again, this is not the person it purports to be, which is why it isn't one of the figures officially. It was done, and it's a very limited edition. I think this is probably a master cast, and I got it, like the other people that got it, for basically being in this thing from the start and for backing it from the start. Now, that's all of that. And off to the one side, I have got, and this is the find out all about Badsquido, so you can take it off there, but I'll be putting that information on there, and the whole Community Miniatures link thing will be set up shortly in the down below. And I will remember eventually, because I will. Anyway, getting to the modelling part of the exercise, I'm going to get the models out. I haven't got a pair of modelling glasses with me. Hold on a moment while a blind man goes and gets glasses. Be right back. Yeah, sorry about the view. It's the shelves of shame behind which I sit. Of course, I'm a professional painter, not a professional YouTuber, and I did label this as practice, so you knew what you were letting yourself in for. These I need to replace. Because beginning to get a little bit kanky, and you cannot get acrylic paint off of lenses very easily, especially not acrylic lenses. If I could get glass ones, I would buy them. All right. Just check her over. Make sure there's no major bits of flash that are in the way, which there shouldn't be. Worst you'll ever see on a Squiddo figure generally is a little bit of the mold, the little tags that where you make sure your mold fills. And I'll file. Probably isn't doing my computer any good. And having filed the bottom of Audrey Hepburn base, I get a pot of glue, which is, again, I need to get more of this because it's got to the point where I'm having to, it won't come out the thing anymore. So I'm going to be doubling that in onto Renedra plastic base, because I believe in scratch building bases where possible. And these are Renedra 25mm bases, the standard ones that they used to use for bolt action, and which are still really nice and readily available and almost as cheap as coins or washers. I'll deal with this. This is also a dead brush, which is one of the reasons I end up with dead brushes. Again, fish this one out, look over. There's a tiny little tag on the end of that, but that's probably that'll be cleanable off, and there's a tiny little tag on there, which again I'll clean off once it's based and I've got something to properly manipulate it by. So all I'm going to be doing is filing the bottom of the thing. This is my Wilco flat warding file, which needs some attention of a wire brush. And there she is on a base. Might scratch build that to look like planks. And the next one, this is Zenobia. And I'll base them, as I say, Zenobia again. Again, look at that beautiful pointy finger. And no, nothing on that. And again, just a little bit of base flattening needed doing. Load the filings off. These are non-lead pewter, so it's not actually as, you're not going to poison yourself with them. And here we have Black Agnes. Again, that's her in the flesh. Again, no mold marks apart from a tiny little bit there that possibly needs sorting on the edge of the headdress where it hangs down, and the bottom of the base, which I need to make sure is nice and flat. I will do the trick where you put a fillet of milliput around these in due course, so they'll be blended into the base. Though there is, as you can see, not a lot of need to blend much in there. As you can see, it's easy to manipulate them once they're on a base. And then Mary Fields. So I particularly wanted Mary Fields to be made as there. I have use for her as a character. And Eleanor of Aquitaine. Getting a little bit of a smooth out. And another dig into the glue pot. Not the best way of using super glue, but I'm not throwing away a half full pot, especially not when it's my last one. And Ada Lovelace. Now, if you're one of the first 100 people to apply for the to order the model, you get a bonus with them. And bonus is a very nice piece of artwork by a proper artist, and a card explaining the a bit of the pocket history of the person involved. And that pocket history, but that's only for the first 100 people. In my case, I probably could have got them, but I am not a collectibles person, as I have probably mentioned a couple of times. So I've got all of them, and that's all of them. I'll show them all off now when I'm given a couple of seconds to dry, and then I'll show them all off. But basically, you get a card and a collectible thing to go with the model, as well as what I've already shown you. But that's only the first 100 people. So if you like that sort of thing, be quick off the plate when you order. But most of the information, though not as nice as beautifully presented, is all on the web, on the community miniatures blog. Get these glasses on so I can see. Here we have all the models, which I will give you one last show. And there are 8 of them. I thought there were 10, which is why I got 10 bases off. And this one is going to be a bit annoying because it's got a very, very small puddle base on it, and it is somewhat not wanting to stick. Oh, Julie O'Dorburn, I haven't based. So that's 9 of them. All right, okay, I thought there were 10. So I possibly missed one out, but this is what happens when you're doing stuff in the small hours of the morning and are and have done stupid hours this week because of small business related stuff. Do this when I was 30. I can't. It's harder now. I'm not. And this one, again, there is a tiny bit of flash, but it's basically to correct the end of the sword, and we'll get the famous chopping device out to deal with that. Protects the end of the sword and is a way of making sure that the sword actually fills up. Because the last thing you want is a sword that's sort of foreshortened. I'll use the chopping board over here, I think. There we are. All done. The sword will need a little attention from a file, but it's done otherwise. And we'll just get some more glue out. And wrap the end of the brush in a piece of tissue so it doesn't stick to everything, because that would be annoying. Just let you go off over there, and we'll do them in sort of reverse order, starting with the ones I did first. Here we are, Mary Fields, all on her base, and easy to midnight. And Queen Zenobia. This is why I like white round bases and B base figures very early if I can. Because this is how I paint them. This is my painting handle as well. And Shin-Chi. Again on a base looking absolutely stunningly gorgeous as a model. And Eleanor Aquitaine. Bit more of a hefty model because of the bulk of the dress. I've forgotten her name. My brain's going on strike. As I say, it is late. Julie Hepburn. Again, looking lovely on her base. Black Agnes, called probably for the colour of her hair. As I say, she was a Scot, so probably not skin colour, but definitely dark-haired. And here we have Ada Lovelace with her punch cards. And finally, well, not quite finally, Julia Dorbrene, who I haven't quite filed flat, but I think I can probably get her off and correct that. And I need to file the front of the base a bit, so I need to do a bit more work on that one before I glue her down. And the last queen of Mongolia. As I say, this is where gluing gets messy. In fact, if I'd have thought about it, and got a clippers over it, I've just cut the front edge of the base off, because it doesn't actually need to stick out as much as it does once it's got past protecting the bottom of the base from the tip of the sword from, and there, with a bit more filage, she fits beautifully. And that's everybody. And as I say, they're all available. They are £5 pounds from the Badsquido website, and none of those came to me for free, apart from, I think, this one, which was, as I say, a freebie. And Annie has a habit of putting freebies in things to say thank you to people who place orders. And I've got a horrible habit of placing a lot of orders, so she's responsible for damaging my bank account no end. But it's almost always worth it, because, as I say, I've not met a figure from Annie that was bad. There's a couple I don't like, and there's a turkey man who creeps most people out that see them. But other than that, that's about it. And as I say, I highly recommend joining the Community Miniatures Project. It is a great idea, and for such beautiful pieces of artwork, £5 is cheap at twice the price, and I will tell Annie that I'll pay a tenner for these figures if I have to. Anyway, that's me for now, because you've had half an hour of me wittering at you and waving figures in front of you. So that's me, and I will talk to you about something else on Tuesday, if not before. Maybe show some of those off in a bit further forward, a little least primed stage. Right, goodbye for now. Have a good night. I'm going to do a little bit more work and then probably go back to bed and go to bed. Take care. Bye.